Hey everybody, me Will.
And me, Kristen. And we just want to let you know real quick that we are going to be finishing up season 2 of Twin Peaks for our June 27th episode. So if you've been watching along, plan on getting caught up by then.
Yes, so finish all of season 2 to be prepared. You have 2 weeks. You've been warned. You've been notified.
All right, on with the show. Scott is sitting across from her and he like fixes on her and he's like, yeah, I think I'll stay behind too. And I'm like, are you going to kill her? Hello, welcome to Guide to the Unknown. I'm Kristen.
And I'm her little brother, William.
And happy Friday the 13th, everybody.
Whoa.
I hope you're safe out there.
Cool. Day.
Yeah, and we are talking about Friday the 13th, part 1 and 2 to celebrate the day, sure.
Of course.
But for a bigger reason. This all serves a bigger purpose.
Oh, right. Yes, it does. Of course it does.
The Freddie September schedule.
Yes, this is incredibly important to us.
That's the reason for the season. So, we're working on a cause here. All right. So I had posited we do something called Freddie September last year instead of our normal October movie-a-thon. We decided not to do that, but we are going to be doing Freddy movies every September. We'll realize, all right, we're going to hit Freddy versus Jason eventually, obviously. So really, we should be lining up all the Friday the 13th to also coordinate and match this.
Yes.
Created an incredible schedule.
I've literally looked at every Friday the 13th from now until the year 2030.
Right.
I know when they all land.
Yeah.
And 2030 should be the year of convergence.
Exactly.
Because here's why. I don't know if you... I forgot about this when I was looking at our schedule the other day.
Although it needs a snip, because we are not doing that Freddy TV show.
We have to, otherwise this won't work. Hold on. Friday the 13th in 2030 is in September. So that was why I had to reverse engineer. It's because there's a Friday the 13th in Freddy September in the year 2030. So that is the convergence. That is when the stars align.
That's the great convergence.
It is the great convergence, and that's why the entire schedule is built to hit September 13th, 2030, which is why we do have to cover that Freddy TV series at some point.
How many episodes is that?
You don't have to watch the whole thing. It's like an anthology thing. It's. I heard there are only
we'll address it when we get.
I know. I heard there are only 2 or 3 episodes that are even about Freddy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But so yes, as a result now, Kristen and I are committed. We've signed our own contract to continue Guide to the Unknown at least to 2030.
Yes, absolutely.
Because every Friday the 13th from now until 2030, we have to talk about Jason stuff.
Yeah, we have to.
And every September, we have to talk about Freddy until they converge with Freddy versus Jason.
What's going to happen?
Anything could happen after that.
I know. Well, what's going to happen on that date? I mean,
don't know.
That's a huge confluence.
I know. This is enormous.
Yeah. People talk about astrology. This is squaring that, yada, yada. This is the big one for me.
This is the big one.
Yeah.
Well, and at this point, we've plotted our future to 2030. I can't see past it.
No, I can't.
What happens on the other side? Is there anything?
We might just pass.
That might be it.
Yeah.
That might be it. So we are going to, in this episode, talk about Friday the 13th and Friday the 13th Part 2. We have to make this work. We've talked about Friday the 13th in the past. I think it's a very familiar territory, but talking about Part 2, I think we'll especially have some fresh things for us to discuss.
Of course, we talked about Friday the 13th in episode 257. So if you want a more in-depth look at that first movie, you can go back to that one. We talked about Friday the 13th, the original, and the reboot.
Oh, is that right? It was part of Slashtober.
The reboot.
Reboot-tober. Interesting.
Or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, whatever that was.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't Reboot-tober.
Whatever the hell it was called.
Yeah.
It was called Slashtober Rebooted, I think.
I think you're right.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about these first 2 movies of this historic slasher franchise.
Yes.
After this commercial break.
Okay. Great.
Fine.
Here we are.
It's time.
William, what's your history with Friday the 13th? The movies.
My history is continually evolving, right? History is not being finished being written yet.
Well, yeah, Natasha Bedingfield told us the rest is still unwritten. You know
What the hell is that?
You know that song? feel the rain on you.
Oh, sure.
Yep.
Okay. Jimmy Eat World told us the past is told by those who win, my darling.
Yeah, that's right.
What matters is what
we're
hasn't
here.
been.
Yeah.
Hey, now.
Hey.
We're talking about Friday the 13th. I've got my Friday the 13th Screambox box set.
Yeah.
Which is the Mondo collection of every Jason movie that at this point has ever been made.
Yeah.
Because bizarrely, there are 12 Friday the 13th movies. And will there ever be a 13th?
I don't know.
It's unclear.
Probably.
Well, now they're jumping to TV.
Yep.
At some point, they'll make a movie, I guess. But
I feel like they will.
whenever they do, that will be the 13th in this franchise.
And they're going to make a meal of that, as they should.
Yeah. But so my history with Friday the 13th, I used to think that it was the bad series.
Ah, okay.
I used to think that the Jason series was sort of lesser than Freddy, lesser than Michael Myers especially.
Yeah.
But still historic. It just felt like the copycat franchise because I knew that
It kind of is.
it kind of is.
Yeah.
Like Halloween had made a huge splash in 1978, and right off of that, I think it was Sean S. Cunningham was the producer of this. He took out a full-page thing in the newspaper that was like, the most terrifying movie ever, Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
All he had was a title. He didn't even know what it would be yet. And he got funding based on the title.
Yep.
So it's like, everything points to this being lesser,
Right.
this franchise,
Right.
which is why it's such a shockaroni doney that over the last handful of years, it has, for me, I think I've said this before, but I still find it shocking in my own head. It has surpassed, Freddy,
Yeah.
who I think is gross.
Yeah.
It has surpassed Michael Myers to
Right.
me, which I now view to just be sanctimonious and kind of like a little
I know. I think
possibly a little pretentious.
I think that all of the stuff around Halloween has now become that way. Like people talking about it and just having this like reverence for it.
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
like become mawkish.
Yes.
It's like, all right.
But at least
Enough. We all like it.
Right.
Can we not hold it up as this like religious artifact at this point?
I
Let's
know
chill out.
it's so intense.
Yeah.
But at least the Jason movies, even when they're bad, they're usually so bad that I'm like, whoa,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
this is blowing my mind a little bit.
Right.
When the Michael
Still fun.
Myers movies are bad, I'm kind of like, okay, can we move this along? Get to it. Or they're gross because of Rob Zombie or whatever. So Jason,
We just haven't had the chance for Friday the 13th to be as gross. Although that remake was pretty gross. Platinum Dunes. Remember that guy licked that magazine?
yes, that man did lick that magazine. You are absolutely right. That is Rob Zombie. It's like Rob Zombie came in to direct a scene.
It's Rob Zombie light. That
Ooh,
movie.
that hillbilly who says a mannequin took his virginity.
Yes.
Oh, thanks, Kristen, for reminding me about that scene. Oh my God. And this is what I'm praising?
I listened to our 257 to
Oh,
try
did
to
you?
make sure that we don't like retread the same territory in this.
All right, well, you keep me
And,
honest because I did not.
And we were talking about that and I was like, oh God, that's right.
atrocious.
That movie sucks.
Atrocious and repulsive and repugnant.
Yeah.
Lame and unfunny.
Yeah.
Ugh. Anyway, it turns out that I'm a big Jason fan. I don't know.
Yeah.
What's your history?
Honestly, I have not seen all of these movies. I've seen the first handful, and I like them fine. I'm not like a super enthusiastic Friday the 13th fan. I'd say I'm a casual Friday the 13th fan.
Okay.
But I respect Jason's place in the hall of slasher icons.
He's part of the pantheon.
yeah, fun guy. Did you know that the original character's name was Josh? I just found this out yesterday.
Josh.
I'm surprised that I hadn't known this already.
Right.
Did you know that?
No, it doesn't ring a bell at least. That's one of those
They
things
originally
like
called him Josh, and then they realized that was not a scary name.
as boring as
and
all
they
get
changed
out.
it to Jason,
Jason.
which is weirdly a scarier name, even though it's a normal name. But it is scarier than Josh.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's something at the softness of the O there. Right? Jason. Like
Yeah.
there's like a stab in there with
Yeah,
the
right.
hard A
Yeah, there's
or
some
something.
harder sounds.
Michael, Freddie.
Josh.
Yeah.
Josh.
Josh.
Yeah, it's not great.
His name was Josh. And he was very nice.
Coming for you.
He survived. He's very sweet.
Yeah, that sounds more right. So really, I don't really have a ton of thoughts about Friday the 13th because, yeah, I've just been a kind of a dabbler.
Okay, that's fair. I think that's completely fair.
Yeah.
Is there anyone in the world who does not know the premise of these movies?
Right.
Especially the first two.
Yeah.
One sentencer for anyone who doesn't happen to know. This is there are casual fans out there who may do that thing that a lot of people do where it's like, Friday the 13th, is that the one with Freddy? You know what I mean? Like, just mix them up. This is the Camp Crystal Lake serial killings.
Yep.
So the first two especially are camp counselors that are going to the lake. Usually they're trying to spruce up the joint before kids will show up, but somebody is killing them off one by one. Mm-hmm. That's the bare premise. I think the rest of this is going to have to be spoilers by design.
Yeah, I think that's probably true.
Yeah?
Yeah. All right, cool.
Do you want to say it?
Let's do it. Oh, and you kind of, okay.
It's true.
Oh, yeah. 3, 2, 1. She's an old woman. Or is she? What is old? I don't know if she's really old.
I know.
Middle-aged woman.
So, yeah, famously...
Society would have us call her an old woman, wouldn't it?
Oh, it would, because apparently, I don't know if you saw this, but like Siskel and Ebert complained about this movie when it first came out. This is crazy.
Yeah.
They were like, so come to find out that, you've got this whodunit format, let alone, the character whodunit is not part of the cast until the end. It's a total cheat. No one could guess that sweet old Mrs. Loomis or Mrs. Voorhees is the killer. And this is so mawkish and terrible. Siskel and Ebert.
Did they say mawkish?
I don't know. I did.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, it'd be weird that I said that.
Siskel and Ebert gave out Betsy Palmer's home address.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
So that people could write letters to her.
Yeah, what assholes.
That is crazy.
It's insane.
That's crazy behavior.
Yes.
And P.S., her performance is outstanding.
It's great.
I think in Friday the 13th.
Yep.
It injects some life into it at least.
Oh, totally.
Aside from the other characters who may have too much life, like good old Ned.
Yeah, I know.
Your favorite character, Ned?
Yeah, of course. Of course. Yeah, it's weird. It's a little bit of a snooze, Friday the 13th.
By today's standards, sure.
Yeah, it's not the best.
It does feel...
and then she comes in and you're like, oh, whoa.
What's
going on here? Like, even before she's revealed as the killer, she just has a more snappy with it energy than the other people there. You're like, oh, who's this lady? What's going on? Because even when she comes in, it's under the guise of like, okay, we're going to figure this out. We'll, because, the girl, Annie, is like freaking out and needing help. And she just has like a commanding presence right away in a way that all the other anonymous teens don't. So you're like, oh.
Yeah, well, she's the authority figure. Like, it's interesting, like, this movie...
Well, I shouldn't discount Ralph, of course.
Oh, of course. No one can discount Ralph.
Yeah. You're doomed.
You're all doomed.
Yeah.
You're doomed.
I love him.
You're going to Camp Blood, ain't you?
Yeah.
I would love to play a crazy Ralph.
Oh, yeah.
That looks fun as
Definitely.
hell. It opens with a character named Annie. I think you're thinking about Alice.
Oh, yes,
at the end.
am.
Annie is like the opening character who's like coming into town and is so G-shucks. Where she's like, I thought of something where I was like, oh, this could almost have been like foreshadowing. I don't think they were thinking about stuff like foreshadowing and making this movie, but she like walks up to a dog and she goes, hey girl. Oh, sorry. Hey boy.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? You're just like, what? Why'd you look at that dog's dingling?
Yeah. What do you care?
What are you
walk
doing?
away from it in one
Doesn't
second.
matter. Just pat this dog on the head.
Yeah, it's not
But
like your friend's dog.
I was like, oh, that would have been neat if it was like, hey boy, oh, sorry, hey girl, or something like that, because everyone would expect that the killer of this would be a man.
Yeah.
Everybody would. Like, that's part of why Mrs. Voorhees is so surprising at the end.
Yep.
And it's hard. This is one of those movies that's like, I've seen it so many times. It's hard to watch it like without knowing
Repeatedly, yeah.
Yeah, so like, but like structurally, I think you're supposed to think that Steve, who is Alice's boss, boyfriend, he's got curly hair and a mustache. Looks like
Yeah.
He looks like what's his name from Wet Hot American Summer?
I don't know.
Niles.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, whatever. He disappears for a lot of the movie, that
Right.
guy. And I think that if you were watching it to try to figure out what's going on, he'd be the person that you'd be like, oh, he hasn't been around. He drives a Jeep. We know the killer drives a Jeep. It's got to be him.
I'm so used to, I really haven't even thought about the fact that you could be watching this and thinking that it's one of the campers or whatever. I'm just so used to the idea that you knew that it was Mrs. Voorhees. I forgot that would even be in play, that you'd be suspicious of one of them.
Yeah.
But yeah, that makes sense.
It's like impossible to watch the movie that way. I gave it a shot just to like see. It doesn't really
Like,
hold
who
up to
looks
scrutiny.
shady.
Like they will show him like sitting in a diner
Right.
far away from everything that's happening. And then you should be like, oh, it's not him.
Right.
You know what I mean? But
It makes sense, like going into it for the first time with this not being already a famous movie, that you would be looking at them suspiciously.
Yeah, exactly. Amusingly, this was also kind of neat. When Annie is walking into town, it has the subtitle that says June 13th, present day, they call it.
Yeah.
But so that means that our episode is coming out literally
Yeah.
June 13th. It's a Friday the 13th in June
Perfect.
that we're releasing this.
You've
It is
engineered it perfectly.
sure I have. It's Jason's
knew.
birthday. Happy birthday, Jason.
Happy birthday. Okay, William.
Yeah.
What the hell is going on with Jason? I know that this is a common thing that other people have brought up. It's not
Sure.
just me.
Of course.
But all right. So
How do you have so many notes?
I had to have something to talk
I wrote
about.
like 3 sentences.
I know. Look, I was like, I gotta be prepared here. All right. So, and let's mash up talking about 1 and 2 a little bit.
Okay.
All right. In 2, they say that Jason has been living in the wilderness, surviving off vegetation and animals like forever.
Yeah.
Okay. And I know that it's like they say that the girl at the end. I mess up everybody's names. Whatever the final girl in 1.
The names are like so anonymous almost, and it's like hard to keep. I put on Friday the 13th, and I watched it, and then I just sort of like had it on while I was doing other stuff just to like
refresh.
Yeah. And there was a character in it that I was like, I don't remember this guy. I had just watched it last week. There's a character named like Bob or Bill. I was like, who the hell is this guy?
Yeah, I just know it's a foregone conclusion.
These characters are very, especially in the first one.
Yeah.
In the second one, I feel like they're slightly more interesting or more
They are,
defined
I
or something.
think.
But in the first one, it's like very hard for me to grasp any of these people and their names or anything.
Definitely. But the final girl in the first one, all right, she gets grabbed by Jason in the water, and they're like, it was a hallucination or whatever. But in the second movie, Jason is very much alive.
Yeah, Jason is out there.
Okay, he's been out there. So he was not killed by and the teenagers making love ignored it or whatever.
They were making love while that young boy drowned.
Yeah.
I
or not, he wasn't
love
killed, but like he drowned or whatever.
I love that phraseology that from Mrs. Voorhees' perspective, they were making love.
Yeah, I don't
like
know.
these camp counselors that are
I would
like
call whatever they were doing making love.
giggling. Like the cold open is 2 counselors, like sort of nameless counselors. Do you know the boy's name?
No, I'm not going to know anyone's name.
His name is Barry Jenkins.
Ah, very good.
Thank you.
So yeah, all right, they're making love, Jason dies, whatever. But he didn't die. So where has he been? He hasn't been with his mom. Was he just living in the woods off vegetation and everything? And then, I don't know, maybe spying on everybody? He's seen his mom kill everybody, presumably. Why did he not intervene? What's going on? Was it not a hallucination on that girl's part? Did Jason actually pop out of the water? And if so, it makes it seem like he lives in the water part-time. Because also
Part-time.
because also at the end of number 1, the last shot is them zooming back on the water, and it's like, oh, Jason's in there. Does
Right.
he live in the water? And then sometimes he gets out to get vegetation and small animals.
Must get vegetation.
Yeah. And he just saw his mom killing everybody, didn't do anything about it. Like, what is going on?
What do you think he was going to stop her?
Well, it could be like, you're killing everybody because you thought they killed me. They're not. They didn't. I'm fine. I've taken to the land and sea.
Right.
I'm living on vegetation. I'm fine.
Stuff's like vegetation.
I can't. Because they said it. It really stood out.
Probably been living on vegetation.
This is the reason I took so many notes, William, because this time I was like, he's been living on vegetation.
Yeah, right.
What's this guy's deal, man?
That was a lot of questions. Is there
the main question?
Okay.
What's this guy's deal? Has he been living in the woods this whole time?
All right.
Because he's not with Mama.
No, he's not. He wishes he was.
Does he? Because he could go to her. They could wear sweaters together.
I'll give you here's the answer of like things that I believe are stated in the movies, and then I do have my own speculation.
Okay.
All right. In the movies, I believe it said that it was 1957 that he drowned because counselors were making love.
Okay.
In 1958, Mrs. Voorhees killed for the first time. She went back. She was the cook.
Yes.
She went back to the camp. I don't know if she was working there or whatever, but she saw two campers that went off on their own.
Once again, to make love.
Which where they go to make love is in like the attic of like some nasty shed. Where I swear to God, I feel like I saw like bundled up barbed wire and stuff. It's like chicken wire or whatever. It's like making love. Oh, Mrs. Voorhees.
I don't know what they're making, but that ain't love.
And so she killed those two counselors.
Right.
Now we have a huge gap.
Yeah.
All right. We have a gap of like 20 years.
Right.
During which it's said that periodically someone has tried to reopen Camp Crystal Lake.
Yeah.
The water was poisoned.
Yeah.
And so they didn't do it. That was her. There were fires. They didn't open the camp again. That was her. And now Steve Christie, who is the son of the former owners, has really invested a ton of money into getting this thing up and running. And that's the story here. That's presumably what really sets Mrs. Voorhees off, where she's like, well, I've really got to get in here and like punish these kids. And so she kills them all. So Jason, when he dies in 1957, usually he's shown to be what, like 8, 9 or something like that. Let's just say 10 because it's easier to count. Is that all right?
Sure.
So then you add on about 21 years, right? Because 1 year later she kills, and then 20 years later the camp opens. So 21 plus 10, he's 31 years old if he lived, if he survived in any way. A lot of people are like, why? Well, he went from a little kid to all of a sudden so hulking and huge in part 2 or whatever. Well, he would be 31.
Yes.
Okay. That's assuming that he lived.
Right.
Now, your question, where has he been all that time?
What do you mean if he lived? He clearly lived.
Well, what is he?
Oh, right. I know. Yes, I see. Yes.
I thought that was part of your question. Like what?
No, he seems to be man.
What is his deal? He does. Okay.
Yeah.
For our purposes,
But
I'll keep it confined to these two movies.
Yes,
he does.
in the movies.
He appears to be man.
Right.
In these first two movies, although Alice does have her sort of dream vision, whatever, of swamp boy.
Right.
Like 10-year-old swamp boy Jason popping out of the water at the scare at the end.
Right.
I think that is purely a dream.
Right.
And that he has been living out in the woods.
Yes.
So here's my speculation now. I think that Jason, who is said to have been special needs, right?
Yes.
Ambiguously special needs, with some form of deformities as well.
Right.
He survived that drowning. He washed up. His body was never found.
Right.
Okay. He washed up on the banks, like across the lake, didn't know how to get home, didn't know how to fend for himself or take care of himself at all.
Yes.
And Mrs. Voorhees left in 1957, came back in 1958, killed those two camp counselors. Maybe he saw her, maybe he didn't, who knows?
Yes.
And then she only comes and goes sporadically across 20 years to poison the water or set fires here and there.
Do you think he didn't recognize her when she came back for all these new killings?
Well, I do think, because we see in part 2 that he keeps her
That's true. So he did
severed head.
Yes.
So I think during this movie, I think 31-year-old Jason heard all the screaming, heard all the sounds, was probably watching and rushing over, and then recognized mommy.
Saw what she was doing, was like, that's the thing to do.
I think he saw her like the moment before Alice chops her head off with a machete. Because otherwise I think he would have helped.
Okay. All
or
right.
found her head.
Yeah.
You know, because maybe he would have killed Alice in that moment.
Right.
But
Yeah,
again,
okay.
movie
Yeah.
one, it's so hard
Sure.
because you got to
I get this. This makes sense.
there's like a compartmentalizing of this because we know too much about Jason over the course of 12 movies and
right.
however many 50 years, 45 years of real life, you know, pop culture awareness.
Yep.
But the first movie was never made
Yes.
with the expectation that Jason would continue the franchise.
Yes. No, I know.
So part one was only ever supposed to be there's a dead boy
Yes.
whose
No,
body is in the lake.
I guess,
Part
I
two
said I know.
retconned it to be like Jason's alive.
I know. I guess I said I know, but I guess I was thinking of them because I watched them back to back as like a piece. So,
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, the amusing thing to me is that they do function.
Yeah.
These first two movies, now we have them sort of jammed together for a handful of reasons. 2030.
Yeah.
Freddy versus
The
Jason.
2030 project.
The 2030 project.
Yes.
Okay. But also because we've talked about Friday the 13th many
the 2030
times.
Convergence.
The 2030 convergence.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
love
That's
that.
better.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. The 2030 convergence. When we finally will talk about Freddy versus Jason. Is everyone excited for that? Put it in your calendar.
I really like that.
This
It sounds
is
like
huge.
An astrological event.
The 2030
oh
convergence
my God.
is almost upon us. But so these first two movies do function similar to Halloween. They really sort of one hands off to two.
Yes.
And it's stylistically a little bit different and it's got a different killer, but his motive is based on what happened previously.
Yes.
So a long time ago, or just for my own amusement, I edited Halloween 1 and 2 together. I just took that transition part in the middle and I just made it one whole long
Yeah.
movie. And you could do that with this easily because part 2 even opens with Alice waking up from the nightmare of remembering the events of part
sure.
1. You could easily do that here as well. And I appreciate that. They had to churn part 2 out real fast. It came out within a year.
Yep.
But I still think that for having to work that quickly and for the bizarre at the time notion of like, well, Mrs. Voorhees had a son who drowned.
Right.
What if he's huge and hulking?
Yeah, totally.
That's crazy.
That is nuts.
But it changed like pop culture history.
Yeah.
And it's a shock that part 2 is as decent as it is.
Oh yeah, totally. It's fun. Also, I saw part 2 just last year because they showed it. Sarah, my friend, and I went to this old movie theater in Cranford to watch part 2.
Oh, cool.
And it was super fun.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's neat. Did it play well on the big, were like people
Gorgeously.
into it?
Yeah,
Really?
totally. Yeah. I think, if I remember correctly, I think Sarah and I thought there were some laughs that we were like, why are people laughing? But it was fine.
Yeah, people probably really loved the character Ted.
Yeah, I think it was that.
There's this.
I remember. I think. Yeah.
So, the characters in these movies are very, very hard to distinguish, obviously, but I do want to highlight a handful. All right. Who do you want? Let's talk about the annoying guys.
Great.
Can we?
Yes.
Ned and Ted.
Yeah.
In part 1, there's Ned. In part 2, there's Ted.
Right.
These two characters are essentially the same character.
Yeah.
They are the comic relief silly guy. They're what Randy sort of is, you know what I mean?
Yes,
But
yes.
oh my God, they're so much worse.
Totally.
Like Ned is doing like a Humphrey Bogart impression and
Look, I know this was it was 1980/81, but they're doing so many old voices and stuff. Like, one of my notes is that the campers are weirdos, and it really struck me with this one girl looking at herself in the mirror in part 1. And she's just like using a transatlantic accent, like Katharine Hepburn. She's just like, Lizzie, you'll always be ugly. Lizzie, you'll always be plain, at herself. And I was like, what are you doing?
she's like laughing.
Yeah. Just having fun.
Amusing herself in the mirror.
Yeah.
It's bizarre.
Right. Thank God for cell phones. That's all I have to say. We have more fun things to do now.
And maybe this is how we would behave.
Maybe.
If we didn't have cell phones. Just talk to yourself in the mirror.
That's what I fear.
How weird is that notion? Like if it turns out that like everything that seems weird about their behavior here
It's
is
really
like
just because they don't have cell phones.
it was
to
totally
zombify
normal.
them.
Yeah, exactly. There's an officer who shows up, a cop
Yep.
who shows up, and I wrote down some of his quotes because this really highlighted how obnoxious Ned is to me. Ned has wrapped his shirt around his legs, kind of
Yeah.
like a I mean, it looks like a diaper.
Yeah.
But he's also wearing a Native American headdress and making,
Sure.
offensive sounds.
Sure. He's whooping.
He's whooping. He looks like an asshole.
Yeah.
And Officer Dorf shows up on his motorcycle, and he's rigid cop man. But I think it's also supposed to be like the filmmakers are being like, rigid cop man he sucks, right? So he says the most like square things imaginable, but I love it. He goes, when Ned is like, there are no crazy people here, officer. Like Ned's being so annoying.
God.
And the cop goes, hey, can it, Cochise? And then Ned says something else. I don't even care what it is, but he goes, I told you to sit on it, Tonto.
Oh my God.
Loved that.
Yeah.
And then we haven't even mentioned Kevin Bacon, but this is Kevin Bacon's first movie.
Yeah, totally.
He plays Jack.
Yep.
And he just starts admiring the cop's motorcycle. He's like, wow, this is so neat. And Officer Dorf goes, it's long, so forgive me.
Please.
What have you been smoking, boy? You know what I mean. What, you just get off a spaceship or something?
Oh my God.
Come on, Colombian gold, man. Grash, hash, the weed, dig it?
Yeah, he digs it.
That's so terrible.
Yeah.
Officer Dorf shows up for 2 seconds, then he's just gone. He just disappears, never to be seen again.
Give me Steven or give me death, Dorf. Give me Dorf.
No even mention of Officer Dorf in the sequel.
Wow. I can't imagine why not.
But he's really here to warn the kids that Crazy Ralph has been seen riding his bicycle all the way from town to camp, which I think they say is like 20 miles or something. The Crazy Ralph's
like the Wicked Witch of the West.
Yes.
In the real world.
Yes, you're right.
Yeah.
What do you think about Crazy Ralph?
I love Crazy Ralph.
This guy.
I can't get enough of him. They dispatched him far too quickly in the second one.
I couldn't agree more. What a huge mistake.
Yeah.
This guy has it.
Oh, absolutely. If anybody has it, it's this guy.
It's Crazy Ralph. He's a messenger of God.
Yep.
He says.
Yep.
He talks all funny.
Yeah.
Going to Camp Blood, ain't you?
Yeah.
You're all doomed. Doomed. And I'm pretty certain that this is where
South Park.
Yeah, South Park.
Yeah,
Although it wasn't even
definitely.
South Park. It was.
Oh, was it Team America?
It was Cannibal the Musical.
Oh.
Trey Parker as a character is like an old prospector.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
You're all doomed.
You're all doomed. Yeah, it is.
Doomed. It's definitely a Crazy Ralph reference.
It has to be.
Crazy Ralph slaps.
Wow. I forgot about Campbell the Musical. I could sing that whole song right now.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Oh, by all
No,
means,
I
please.
won't. I won't. No.
I'll give you the stage.
Nope.
Crazy Ralph just shows up in the pantry, which I really liked. I thought that was very,
Yes.
very, very scary.
Yes, it's awesome.
Genuinely scary. Like he's just standing in there. What are you doing in there, Crazy Ralph?
Yeah. He's a live wire.
Oh yeah. This is jumping way far ahead in a sense, but part of me is wondering if Friday the 13th, when this episode drops, I'm expecting a bunch of Friday the 13th franchise news.
Oh, maybe.
Right?
That would make a ton of sense. Yeah.
I think they'd be wise to. It's not just a Friday the 13th, but it's the Friday the 13th.
Right.
June 13th, 2025, when this episode comes out. And the Jason universe, as now they are calling it, has been ramping up over the past couple of years.
Yep.
And they've talked about how they're going to have all kinds of, we're going to work on new movies and a TV series, Camp Crystal Lake, and games. I'm very hopeful that Friday the 13th game gets relaunched.
Oh,
that would be wonderful. I loved that game.
That was a really cool game.
But with the TV series in particular, it seems like it's a prequel.
It is. Yeah. I looked to see if there was like anything new about it. There's no release date yet. And it had already been out for like a while now that Linda Cardellini is going to be playing Mrs. Voorhees.
Yeah.
That it takes place before the events of that fateful day. And the latest news as of like 2 weeks ago is that an actor who I'm not familiar with, but an actor named William Catlett has been cast as a character.
Crazy Ralph?
No, if only.
That's what I was going to ask is he coming to the show, Crazy Ralph?
Look, maybe, but he has been cast as a character named Levon Brooks.
Okay.
And that's all we got. There's no other news about it.
Yeah, I'm optimistic about Crystal Lake.
Totally.
I'll be eager to see it, but setting it so early, there's no Jason, really. I mean, you can characterize
but a
young
boy.
Jason. Yeah, exactly.
I know.
But
I'm a little bummed about
It's like Bates Motel. There's going to be bigger plot. Something's happening, in the town around Crystal Lake, and there's going to be, weed fields and controversy over who owns the marijuana, and there's going to be a drug lord. I'm telling you, it's going to be the same as Bates Motel. It's going to be like all of this other ballyhoo.
I don't know.
Yeah.
There is going to be other ballyhoo, but I don't know. I feel like the fact that it's like an A24 produced thing makes me think
it is?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Makes me think that it's not going to be like that.
All right, well then I'm more optimistic. I hope.
And also the original writer is one of the executive producers.
Vincent Miller?
Victor Miller.
Miller. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Interesting. Yeah, I hope that Ralph is in it. I assume Ralph is in it.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, totally.
Ralph is
Who's that going to be? Maybe
Yeah.
that's the news that'll drop about it.
Yes.
That's what I anticipate most hotly now.
when is the Ralph news going to drop?
Yeah. I want the Ralph universe.
Well, in a prequel, he's going to be called like Sane Ralph, and this because you're also going to get his arc of how he becomes Crazy Ralph. They're going to be like,
Right.
why he's got the surest head on his shoulders.
What if he's Mrs. Voorhees' love interest?
There you go. He could be Jason's father.
Right.
Why not?
Yeah.
There's this whole thing again in like the meta Jason sense. There's this whole thing about his father Elias Voorhees, who's like, I don't even know if he's ever mentioned, but there's like this.
Actually, we joke about Crazy Ralph being Elias Voorhees in the.
Did we really? Oh my God! All right, then I'll say no more. But I assume Ralph is going to be in the prequel series because he seems about Mrs. Voorhees' age.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense.
He's gonna like work at the camp, or he's gonna be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. All right. Well, we are going to keep on talking about these movies after we let you know about patreon.com/GTTUpod. This is where you can go to get our second weekly podcast, the Netherworld Dispatch. It comes out every Monday, and you can also get a ton of other stuff. We have a Discord. We have movie commentaries over on Patreon. There's a newsletter. Liz Sauer of Ghosts and the Burbs and I have a monthly podcast where we talk about paranormal reality shows, all kinds of stuff. So go check out patreon.com/GTTUpod.
It is a delight. It is fun. It is the lifeblood. The most recent episode of the Netherworld Dispatch is called Ranking or Scream Kills Ranked.
Something like that.
Anyway,
it's called, we rank scream kills.
Yes, every scream kill across all 6 as of this recording movies. And amusingly, I don't know if you caught this, I kept screwing up how I was describing things. So I was used to like the S tier, A tier, B tier, C tier, D tier, F tier, but they were titled things like liver in the mailbox or whatever. So I kept saying like this belongs in C, and it would be B.
Oh, I don't know. I didn't even
Or it would
notice.
be-
I think I was speaking the same
I
language.
screwed up every letter across the entire show, but it was very, very amusing. You get our full opinion. I mean, that's just a label.
Yeah.
But you get to know what we think are the top of the pops and the shit of the flops.
Hell yeah.
So go check that out. Oh, also, we just released a bonus conversation. You and I were on the road, and we talked a little bit more about, Scream.
Yeah.
David Arquette had made some comments that he perhaps was less than thrilled about how Dewey was treated.
Yeah.
I have a cockamamie theory about how they could bring Stu back in the most plausible way. So go check that out. All of that is on patreon.com/GTTUpod and in the Netherworld Dispatch feed.
Yes. All right.
We also love reading review. Oh, sorry.
No, that's it.
We love to read reviews, and I've got a lovely one from Caroline 1018 titled "I Survived Scaremuto."
Ooh, that means you get the I Survived Scaremuto badge.
And I enjoyed it. Guide to the Unknown is genuinely one of my favorite podcasts of all time. Will and Kristen's banter reminds me of the kind of banter I might have with friends. Phrases such as wet puppetry and Scaremuto are now part of my regular lexicon, and I cannot thank y'all enough. I come for the scares and stay for the laughs. Keep up the great work. 5 stars.
Thank you so much. That's so nice. So happy to introduce Scaremuto to your vocabulary. And thank you for leaving that review, Caroline. Thank you so much to everybody who's left us a review or stars on Spotify. If you haven't done that already, we would really, really love it if you did. So you can leave us a written review like that on Apple Podcasts, or if you listen on Spotify, you can leave us a starred review and we would really appreciate it. You can also share the show on Insta stories and we will always repost that as long as you tag us in it so that we can. And just thank you so much to anybody who helps support the show in any way. So thank you.
Thank you all so much.
Yeah.
So let's get right back to it.
Let's do it. Well,
after one more commercial break.
That was a good one. I loved those commercials.
What awesome products.
Yeah. I can't wait to support them. Okay. All right. So we just talked about Ralph.
Hell yeah.
An icon. Were there any characters? So you were saying that, and I agree with you, that the characters in the second movie are a little bit more distinct than in the first.
I think so.
I think so too. Did you have any faves?
Good.
I'm not gonna know names. So
I know. I tried to keep names a little bit. You know what? I do like the final girl. Of the sequel to her name is Ginny.
That one I know. Yeah, Ginny.
I liked her. I thought that she was like a better established character, a little more active than Alice.
She was filled in a little bit more with the whole child psychology thing too.
Yes.
Like you kind of got her.
Yes.
Her deal a little bit more.
Yeah, she brings like a pretty like intellectual, psychological bent to figuring out the killer, which is always appreciated.
Yeah.
I always think that kind of thing is really fascinating, even if it's used to like weird effect later.
Yeah, totally.
But like Alice was weird because in the first movie, no one even knows that anything's wrong until like the last possible moment.
Yep.
But at least she does chop off Mrs. Voorhees' head. I mean, that's pretty active, obviously.
Yeah. She came alive.
Yeah. But I would say other than that, I like the couple where the guy's in a wheelchair.
I do too.
And the girl who is like crushing on him.
I do too.
I like
cute.
them. They're very cute.
Yes.
In a way that like is like they say like, like really, let's play a game. What are we playing for? Position. Like they say like cornball things like that. But in a weird way for this particular story, like it felt like it didn't feel scandalous. It felt kind of humanizing and sweet.
Yes, they were sweet.
Heavy flirting, like the heaviest possible flirting imaginable.
Yeah, but fine.
But like very, very just like...
I was rooting for them.
I was rooting for them, which is
what you guys have going on.
Kind of rare.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, the rare couple that I thought was actually making love was that that guy with the newsboy hat.
Yeah.
And his lady.
Right.
They were making love actually. And then I felt bad for them when Jason killed them because they were so in the afterglow of lovemaking. Like that guy was on top of her. He was smiling and hugging her like, I am loving this. And then that giant like spear went through both of them and I was like, oh man.
Yeah. Yeah.
They were loving it.
You're right. They were.
I felt for them.
Yeah, this was an interesting bunch. There wasn't really any. Yeah, nothing felt salacious.
I guess that girl going skinny dipping when she should have been looking for Muffin. They were so casual about Muffin going missing.
Yeah, the dog going missing.
That was crazy.
Yeah, that was. Well, that I have a lot to say about that girl who goes skinny dipping. I mean, nothing salacious about like even these characters, like those two characters, like having sex and Jason sneaks up on them and kills them. But like they were clearly totally like together and going out and just like it was like
they loved each other.
Yeah, it didn't feel like
I'm all for people getting down even if they don't love each other, but they were very sweet.
But like everyone was sort of like
they were just like
yeah, everyone was like partnered up in like a lockstep kind of formation a little bit. And yeah, they were very sweet and felt like very young.
Yeah.
I think that the actress who played Sandra was literally like 17 or something. So she literally was young.
Yeah.
But like everyone just felt like kids where you're just kind of like, okay, like you're doing what kids do.
Right.
All right.
Right.
But yeah, so let's talk about
Muffin.
Well, Vicky and Scott. Whose dog is Muffin? Is it Vicky's dog?
It's the like I said, I don't know anybody's names. It's the girl who gets naked and goes skinny dipping.
Okay, that's I think that's Vicky.
Okay.
Yeah. So Muffin just goes missing, and then Vicky is
It's crazy.
putting up with Scott.
Yes, Muffin goes missing. They're like, Muffin, and then she's like, all right, we'll find her later or whatever. They like eat dinner fully and stuff, and then she goes back out solo to find Muffin, decides to go skinny dipping, keep
Alone.
looking for Muffin.
Yeah.
And also, yes. And then, Scott, I guess, sees her clothes on the shore and decides to hide them like an idiot.
I am very confused about this man.
What about him?
There is a quality. Now, for anyone who hasn't seen the movie, he looks, to me, he looks kind of like Dave Franco.
Okay, yeah.
Right, heavy eyebrows.
Yeah.
But like he's playing it, I don't want to say he's playing it cool, because he's not.
Yeah.
But I mean, he's kind of stoic.
Yeah.
For the first like handful of times you see him, he like almost doesn't even talk. He's just kind of like making eyes at Vicky or whatever. But he's simultaneously like smoldering as if he's the cool guy.
Yes, definitely.
But his actions are so odd.
Yeah.
Where I would refer to what he's doing as like problematic behavior.
Yeah.
Like that should be worked out like in therapy or something.
Yes.
She like bends over and she like feels like something like hit her ass, and she turns around and Scott steps out of the bushes.
Yes.
And is like smoldering at her, but then holds up a little slingshot. So he's acting. He's like.
God, is that the second time I've snorted? I'm sorry, everyone.
But he's looking relatively like
He shot her in the ass with a slingshot.
with a slingshot.
Wow, I don't remember.
He's literally acting like Dennis the Menace.
Oh my God.
Even though he's plainly too old to be behaving this way.
I find that freaky.
And if he didn't do these weird childish things, he might come off as very, like attractive.
Yeah, right.
And like she would almost definitely like kind of be intrigued by him.
Right.
Except, yes, when she goes skinny dipping, he also then is like, like for having been so sort of like locked down and not making a sound, he gathers up her clothes when she's skinny dipping, like,
Yes.
and like scampers away. Where I'm like,
what is with this guy?
ooh, I don't like this guy. Something is dangerous.
Totally.
About his behavior.
Yeah, no, like grown-up guys with a childlike air, and then you add in handsomeness, and that's like a weird. It's like a poisonous flower that's beautiful.
Yes,
I don't like it.
It was like he made a Voltar wish. And like in Big.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes,
So he's like,
yes.
People aren't familiar with the two
I've
phrase.
never seen Big.
The 2-word phrase. He made a Voltar.
William, I
wish.
bet people are. I've just weirdly never seen Big.
I don't think anyone actually says that. He made a Voltar wish. But it's like he's 7.
Yeah.
In the body of like an 18-year-old. It is very odd behavior.
Yeah. Off-putting. I was glad when he got put into that trap that grabbed his ankles and pulled him up.
Now that's my next issue with him. So when he is running off with her clothes or whatever, he steps into a humorous lasso on the ground that yoinks him upside downy.
Yep.
We've all seen this in Looney Tunes.
Absolutely.
The amount of arm waving that he does when he's surprised to be caught in the trap is also a red flag on some level. I feel like he is wiggling and wobbling too much. And I know that is perhaps unfair for somebody.
So
do you know what I'm talking? Do you does that make any sense?
Lie, it didn't stand out to me.
Okay. All right.
But that doesn't mean that it's not a thing.
It's very odd. It's very odd. He looks like a cartoon.
I mean, everybody's doing such weird things that I guess I was just like, yeah, okay, this is like another weird thing.
Okay.
You know?
I think there were a lot of red flags about this man's demeanor and behavior.
Yeah. Yes, I totally agree.
Yeah.
I totally agree. Even down to like, it's so simple, but when they're deciding who's going to go to the bar or not, Vicky is like, I'm going to stay behind to look for Muffin, finally, by the way.
But she goes skinny dipping instead.
Yes. And Scott is sitting across from her and he like fixes on her and he's like, yeah, yeah, I think I'll stay behind too. And I'm like, are you going to kill her?
Yeah, right.
Stay
Yeah.
behind? Like, what's your deal?
He does feel.
He's unnerving.
He feels like a creep.
Yeah.
He feels like somebody who would go like creepy crawling.
Yes.
He's scary.
Totally.
I don't appreciate
He
him.
ain't right.
He ain't right. No. Yeah, why didn't she go looking for Muffin?
I don't know.
I
She
forgot that
was
she's like,
really
I'll stay back
relaxed.
to find the dog, but then she just goes skinny dipping
She's
alone.
like, Muffin, oh, Muffin, and then goes skinny dipping alone.
That's so strange.
Yeah.
Everyone who did go out to the bar survived, including our new annoying character.
Wait,
Ted.
do we know that Ted survived?
Yes.
I'm trying to think. When's the last time we see Ted?
I can tell you exactly when, because I also had this on twice.
Yeah.
Ted goes to the bar. He's present when Ginny at the bar is sort of doing her psychological breakdown of Jason, which is interesting. And he kind of mellows out from being annoyed. He was very much like the prankster kind of guy as well.
Yeah, they do a thing where Paul, who's like the manager of the camp or something, and like Ginny's boyfriend, is like telling the story of Jason.
Which I liked.
I did too. This is when he said he was surviving on vegetation and small animals. And he's like, he's still out there to this day or whatever. And then Ted pops out and is like,
that boy was me from Club Dread.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
I've never seen that.
Oh, Kristen.
I know.
Well, if we do a potential October theme this year, perhaps you will.
Yes, I would love to.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Everyone, are you interested?
Keep your calendar clear.
Keep your calendar clear for October, everybody.
Yeah.
We might have the theme. Anyway, so Ted is like prankster man. Well, he goes to the bar and he's got like 5 beer bottles in front of himself.
Yeah.
And the bartender goes like, "You want me to clear some of those out, hon?" And he goes, No, that's okay." He looks identical to the main character from Ratatouille.
Okay.
The guy with a rat on his
I
head.
haven't seen Ratatouille.
Well, if we keep our theme for October, maybe you will see Ratatouille.
Boy, I'm
Pixar-tober.
Yeah.
No, he looks identical to the Ratatouille rat head man. And he's like, "No, I want to keep all of these bottles in front of me."
Yeah.
For some reason, he's being honest. And she's like, "Okay." And then Paul goes, "I think she likes you." And he goes, "I know."
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the last times we ever see him.
Okay.
He asks if there's like an after party kind of joint.
Yeah, okay.
So he survives the entire movie,
Good
the
for
annoying
him.
guy this time. Yeah.
Great.
Maybe he can come back in a future sequel.
Maybe he'll be in Crystal. No, he won't. That's a prequel.
Rise of Ted.
Yeah. Finally.
Yeah.
You know what we should talk about? We should talk about the whole final thing of her with the shrunken head, using Mrs. Voorhees' essence, all of that.
Is it a shrunken head?
Well, I think it's probably shrunken a
you made
little
me
bit by
picture one
this
of those
point.
like Beetlejuice guys. Mrs. Voorhees with just a teeny tiny head on her shoulders.
I think it's probably shrunken a bit by now.
This is based on the child psychology thing. So
Yes.
Ginny had this theory that I thought was interesting.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, having heard the rumor thing of Jason lives in these woods, they say, whatever. And she was like, how horrifying would that be if you were Jason? Like, the person who's supposed to protect you is killed, has her like head chopped off. How would you make sense of that? And she's like sympathizing with him, but this was maybe a stretch too far. She's like, he's probably still out there crying for his mommy,
Right.
Crying for resurrection,
Right.
I was like, what?
Yeah. Why would that be?
Well, resurrection.
Yeah.
But she's like, he might not know any of these terms, he may not know any of these words to be able to name any of these emotions. And then she says to Paul, she's like, I'm really serious about this. What do you think? Meaning, like, what do you think of my theory?
Yeah.
She's like, well, there's no evidence that Jason
Totally.
is alive at all. So what do I think of it?
Interesting.
I think it's kind of neat that you said that, but
right.
I have nothing to go by to be like, there's anything actionable here.
Totally. It's a curious thought experiment.
However, it turns out she's completely correct.
Totally.
Jason has a shack in the woods, complete with a toilet.
I was about to say, with a toilet. Hell yeah.
Hell yeah, Jason.
Yeah.
What kind of guy hiding in the woods has a porcelain toilet?
A refined one. Absolutely. One of class and elegance.
Now, I have seen people similar to people being like, well, what is he? Is he a little boy or why is he so huge? How'd that happen so fast? Ignoring the 20 years have gone by.
It's been like a million years.
People have been like, what, he built a shack in the woods?
I Maybe.
How about
or
this?
he came across it.
Boom. That's
Yeah,
what I think.
done.
I think he found somebody who was living
I
like
think
that.
it's quite obvious to me he came across it.
Killed them.
Yeah.
And now he uses that shack.
Duh.
Boom. It's as simple as pie.
Yes.
When you
Totally.
view it this way.
He's using somebody else's toilet. Their shack toilet.
Yes.
Could use a scrub, I won't lie, but I
He
guess
doesn't scrub.
I guess it's better than squatting and using a leaf.
I guess.
He's probably using a leaf, actually.
Probably is using
I
a
didn't
leaf.
see a roll.
Did you not?
A toilet roll, like a
No, I know
roll
what
of toilet paper.
I know what you mean. I didn't think you meant like a dinner roll.
But you said, did you not?
A Kaiser
did
roll.
You?
Well, I was trying to view it through your eyes. I don't recall now. I'll have to watch it a third, perhaps even a fourth time to see if I can spot any toilet paper.
I didn't see the toilet paper.
I do have
honestly,
the beautiful 4K.
I so quickly turned to Ryan and said, toilet, that maybe I missed it.
Like Leonardo DiCaprio. in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Toilet. It's
Toilet.
Kristen, anytime she sees a toilet in a movie.
Was I with you in the car and we saw a toilet on the road the other day?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
That's correct.
Pointed that out, too.
You sure did. You asked me to pull over so you could sit on it. I said, Kristen, we have a schedule to keep. You made me.
God.
Anyway, so then Ginny gets into her big chase.
Yeah.
Everyone's dead.
Yes.
Right? So she gets into her big chase with Jason, which in this movie, he doesn't have the hockey mask yet. He's bag on the head with one eye cut out, Jason. What do you think of this look? Because this is...
I think it's a pretty good look.
I think it's a pretty good look.
Yeah, I like it.
I understand that I think people behind the scenes were not thrilled with it.
Totally, because it's like kind of bare bones. But this is like living off the land Jason, using what he has access to. That's how he gets the hockey mask anyway. It's like a found item.
Yes.
So it makes total sense, and I like it.
Honestly, it's also sort of representative of one of the things that, again, has actually endeared Friday the 13th to me. I think because it didn't start from a place of artistic ambition. Like John Carpenter really made like a really great movie with Halloween.
Yeah.
Friday the 13th was like, well, we should just do that. Right. What do we do? What do we got? What can we strap together? They've actually, like, they sort of learn as they go with Friday the 13th, whereas Halloween sort of dismantles as it goes.
Yeah.
Sort of falls apart
Yeah.
as it goes. Friday the 13th actually almost
until
gets...
it hits H2O. It has another rise.
Of course.
And then
One of the highest rises, and then one of the biggest plummets.
Yeah.
But Friday the 13th actually sort of evolves as it goes and refines its cultural icon, its iconography or whatever. And I kind of enjoy that. But I like bag on the head, Jason.
Yeah, I think it's good.
So Ginny runs from Jason, hides under a bed, sees a mouse.
Yeah.
And pisses
Yeah.
her pants.
Right.
And then
apparently it was Coca-Cola?
Huh?
That's what I read, is that they used Coke as the pee. I
That
know.
didn't look like
I'm about to
Coke.
say, what kind of Coke?
Lemon Coke. What did they have in the 80s?
I know.
Before Crystal
That's what I was
Pepsi,
thinking. Like, what kind of messed up Coke was this?
Piss
But
yellow
whatever.
Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
Coming out soon.
Also, I read it was some debate whether it's she peed or the rat peed, and I was like, it's quite clear to me that she peed.
The rat peed?
Right. Totally.
Who's having this debate?
I don't know. It was on IMDb trivia.
Where's this debate occurring?
I have no idea.
Debate club,
Yeah.
high schools across the nation. I think it was the rat
No, it's
who had its own body weight of volume of urine inside of it. It's like a tremendous amount of urine.
Absolutely.
So much so that Jason is about to leave the room.
Yes, and that's what gives her away. That's not a rat amount of piss.
He goes, I think I smell rat piss. And turns back.
Right.
And then he scares her and she runs away. Anyway,
Yeah.
she ends up running to his like shack, cave, house.
Yeah. And he has a shrine to Mama with her head on it and her sweater. And Ginny gets an idea real quick.
This is a fast idea, boy.
Yeah, it is. She can really think on her feet. She puts on this nasty sweater and then she starts being like, Jason, like being the mom. She's like, you've done good work, Jason. You've done it all. Well done, you, or whatever, to make him calm down.
And it works.
Yeah.
He sort of freezes in place. He's having visions of his mother saying these words.
On her head now. So now it's like Betsy Palmer's floating head being like, good boy, Jason.
Which
And
that's
it's
pretty
sweet.
impressive that Betsy Palmer even
Totally.
agreed to do it. I heard that they went to her home. Mm-hmm. Like they had to just film it at her house.
Yes, and
get her
also
to do
that
this?
she was shocked that Jason was still alive in the sequel. And
Oh,
was
really?
like, what? How does this make any sense for like what has happened in the first one? But okay.
Yeah, that's how like everyone feels.
Yes.
Which is so funny now because Jason has
Right.
11 more movies to go.
Totally, because she was like, well, why I only killed in the first one because he was dead. Like, what do you
Yeah.
mean he's alive? But whatever.
Yeah.
Get the money.
But so Jenny gets Jason to kneel in front of her, but when she goes to raise the machete to take a swipe at him, she accidentally reveals the severed head behind her, and that breaks his illusion.
Yeah, he gets it.
And I think that that's all really kind of interesting.
Totally. I love it.
Bizarrely, then, the movie continues.
Yeah.
And
It goes, yeah.
the chase, stop it.
Totally.
Stop it. Stop it.
Stop that.
Stop this movie now. And it's not even a long movie, but it obviously needs to end here.
Definitely.
But no, whatever. The Paul runs in. He's like, Jenny. It's like the worst acting.
Yes.
And he like tackles Jason and they tussle or something. And
Yeah, and they have like a giant pitchfork kind of thing, and that becomes kind of
Muffin shows up.
Yeah,
Turns out
yeah,
Muffin
thank
was
God.
alive.
Oh yeah, because also there was a thing where everybody's weird. This couple like came across like a different dead dog in the woods, and they're like, "Ew, what's that?" Like looking at it.
Yeah, this whole thing is
not-
bizarre. They just found a different mangled animal
That like looked a lot like Muffin.
certainly looked
So
like Muffin.
you would think Muffin was dead, but no, Muffin's alive at the end.
But they end up defeating Jason with a chop to the clavicle, which I wouldn't think would be enough,
Yeah.
and indeed is not enough.
Right.
And he gets his one last jump scare, which turns out to be real. Or Jenny's like
I guess
taken
it
away
is.
like in a hospital bed
Right.
thing. Like I
Right.
don't really know what happens at the end of this movie.
I don't remember. I guess we'll find out when we get to part 3D. Do
Well,
they even address?
No,
Previous
you never
events?
see Jenny ever again.
Yeah.
But
Oh,
Jason's
yeah.
alive,
Right, of course.
so yeah.
yeah.
But there you go. That's Friday the 13th, parts 1 and 2. Is there any other like lingering things that you?
Let me see. I have part of Roger Ebert's review of part 2 in particular.
Oh, whose address did he give away in this one?
No address, but this was his last review for any Friday the 13th movie.
Okay.
Because he says that this is, quote, a cross between the mad slasher and dead teenager genres. About 24 movies a year feature a mad killer going berserk, and they're all about as bad as this one. Some have a little more plot, some have a little less. It doesn't matter. This review will suffice for the Friday the 13th film of your choice. And said that he's just, going forward, he won't be writing any more reviews. This one can stand in for all of them.
If you were his boss, would you allow him to get away with that as his assignment?
I think I would.
Okay.
It's ballsy and obnoxious. It's going to get people talking. So I suppose
Fair
so.
enough. Fair enough.
Yeah.
That's very funny.
Yeah.
I do have a couple of notes I think worth bringing up real quickly. So we mentioned Alice, who was the final girl of the first movie. She's the opening kill of the second movie.
Yeah.
Which it takes like
It's a good opening.
it's a fine opening.
It goes on a little long, but I think it's good.
But she ends up discovering Mrs. Voorhees' head in her fridge.
Yeah.
Which is then I hadn't really thought about this, but
Yeah.
is later used in the Scream franchise at some point.
Yep.
Which is part of like there are like 3 Friday the 13th references happening in that scene, and I didn't think about the head in the fridge being
Yeah.
one of them.
Yeah.
But I thought that was kind of neat to look at. Staying on Mrs. Voorhees' head, I think the last shot of part 2 is her severed head sitting on Jason's stump,
Yeah.
whatever's in that
right.
room.
Yes. Yes.
And the camera is just like sort of pushing in on the Mrs. Voorhees head, which is definitely a human being
It is.
wearing prosthetics
Yes.
to look like a severed head. So much so that you just watch and you're just like, well, when's it going to open its eyes?
Yeah.
And then we're like stunned that Mrs. Voorhees' corpse is alive or
Right.
whatever. But it never happens. It just freeze frames.
Yeah. Totally.
And it's such an uncomfortable...
It's really weird.
Because you're like, why did this need to be a person in makeup if it wasn't going to move?
I have no idea.
I think they planned for her eyes to open and then realized that it looked like crap.
I think you might be right about that. Like that literally is a thing. I think I read that yesterday.
So they just
yes,
let it look like crap a different way.
Yeah.
And just, but everything in your body is being like, well, that's a human.
right. Yeah, totally.
That's it. Like every molecule in your body is going, I'm looking at a human face
An
that's
alive
about to,
human.
that doesn't need to be an alive human.
Yep.
So why isn't it moving?
Why is it?
Why is it not moving? Why is it not about to move? Why is it freeze frame here? What's going on?
Totally.
But there you go.
Yeah. Well, what a beautiful duo of movies.
Yes, sure.
It was fun, honestly. It was
I
fun to watch.
enjoy them. I enjoy them both. I think that they are a fine little 1-2 punch. I think they work neatly in tandem.
I kind of like 2 better than 1.
I like 2 better than 1 as well, which is a shockaroo to say.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I do. I think that it has better characters. I think that it's better constructed.
Yep.
I think
one
it's
really wakes up, like I said, when Betsy Palmer gets there.
Yes, I totally agree.
Yep.
Also, I think probably been talked to death to some extent, but the like Psycho connection,
Yeah.
to some extent of like Mrs. Voorhees is sort of killing for Jason, but also kind of killing almost like as Jason.
Right.
She's doing the voice of her dead son going, "Get her, mommy. Don't let her live."
Yeah, I love that.
I won't, Jason. I won't. Like she's talking to herself, but doesn't know she's talking to herself. That's very entertaining.
Yeah.
And I love the inversion of Psycho.
Yes.
Like is it a lift or is it so simple it's great?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know either.
But even the score often sounds like Psycho.
Totally.
It sounds like Psycho and Jaws together, which is
Yes.
very, again, is it a lift or is it so simple and reverential?
I think it's kind of probably a lift in this case.
I know, it's so odd.
But, I mean, it's still really enjoyable.
Regardless, they took all these ingredients from all these different places and they constructed a brand new thing that obviously stood on its own 2 feet.
Oh, big time.
And carried on so long now that finally they're talking about the franchise again.
I know. I am excited to see what that show is like.
To see what else happens in the Jason universe.
Yeah, totally.
The last thing that I am even aware of is like they had, I think it was like Greg Nicotero or someone redesigned Jason.
Okay.
Like gave Jason like a new mask.
Yeah.
Kind of. And like this is like the look that presumably he will have in the franchise going forward.
Okay.
But having said that, I don't know how true that is at all because it doesn't seem like any plans with grown-up murder man Jason.
Right, or actively in the works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it just sort of feels a little bit, and I can't fault them. It's not a real criticism, but it does feel a little bit like they're just sort of spinning their wheels.
Yeah, it's probably a little premature to release that.
Yeah, they just like have a whole new design. And yes, it was special effects legend Greg Nicotero who crafted Jason's new look, which is pretty similar to the old look.
Yeah, I got to say it's not knocking my socks off. I don't dislike it, but
he's slightly slimmer.
Sure.
I would argue.
Yeah, he's
The
in
mask-
a slimmer cut, I guess.
I think the mask has a few less holes.
Yeah, everything looks a little like neater or something.
Yes, he looks like he's in, like if you just cover up his head, he looks like a character from The Walking Dead.
Yeah, you're right.
You know what I mean? Like just like a jacket that's a little frayed and it's a little underwhelming.
Looks like somebody after a long, hard day of work, but who decided to put on a hockey mask for some reason.
Sure. Yeah,
And
there you
holding a
go.
machete.
Yeah, I agree. It looks like a little action figure.
Yeah.
But there you go.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for hanging out with us. We hope you enjoyed this. Like I said before, you can go to patreon.com/GTTUpod if you'd like to support the show and get like a million things in return
Hell yeah.
at whatever level works for you. I think I said level.
Level.
You can also follow us on social media. We are at GTTUpod everywhere, and we're also there individually. I'm at Chillin' Kristen.
I'm at The Myth Traveler. Also consider following The Trouble with Tessa on Instagram. That is a show that I'm one of the writers of that's coming out next month. And we're going to have some updates that are rolling out very, very shortly there, which will be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So just want to make sure that that's on everyone's radar.
Yeah,
We got links in the show notes for that as well. Happy Friday the 13th.
Yes. Happy
Everybody.
Friday the 13th. All right. I clearly have to go.
I gotta go.
I don't know what the hell's going on.
We'll see you all next time. But until that time comes, we must travel.
Back to the netherworld go we. the bad luck of Friday the 13th is working on my mouth.
Oh my
I can
God.
speak no more.
Holy shit. Well, then how are you doing this?
I don't know.
Whoa.